Welcome to CounterCultureWISE, a Stormcat production, with your hosts, Melanie Hope and James Monis. The views expressed on this podcast are those of the hosts, our guests, and the dog, and do not necessarily reflect the views of any of our platforms, our advertisers, or any other dog.
As you listen today, please remember, we are so much more than a podcast. All of our stories we discuss are linked in our show notes on CounterCultureWISE.com. Visit there for commentary, guest photos and links, animations, and fun merchandise.
If you have a story idea or would like to be a guest on our show, contact us via our website. You can also follow us on Twitter, Gab, Instagram, Facebook, and all over social media where we'll post memes, cat pics, and commentary that gets us booted off on a regular basis.
If you're watching our live show, hit like and join the chat. If you're listening dead, well, you can still hit like, share, subscribe, and comment, but please stop voting Democrat. And with the meows of the Mackie Meow, who is in studio with us along with everybody else, make sure you check out our Insta so you can see what it looks like when we're recording in CounterCultureWISE Studios.
Indeed.
We start another CounterCultureWISE podcast. I am your hostess with the mostest, Ms. Melanie Hope, and with me is my best friend, tippity-tapping his little heart out over there. My co-host happens to also be my husband and, of course, my sweet baboo, Mr. James Monis.
I was just reading the story of the French Revolution and just found out what happened to Louis XVI's head.
Uh-huh.
Oh, God, it says removed. Anyway, moving on.
Not too soon, though. Speaking of which, oh boy, do we have a show for you today.
Can I just admit this? Because of all the troubles we've been doing the show live, we've been pre-recording bits of it, but we're really lucky in a way that we held off until the day of broadcast to open the show. I told you never know
what's going to happen.
And by gosh and by golly and by gum and by cracky and by menin, we have some mind-blowing news. It's mind-blowing for me.
I mean, really, if you haven't heard it already, obviously you live under a rock. But hey, bye-bye Joe. Of course, he's not actually stepping down, so not capable of running a campaign, but somehow
not capable of being prosecuted.
Yeah, somehow able to run a country. So I'm a little confused about that, I'm going to be honest.
Well, he wasn't running it to begin with. You said that every single show since 2020.
There is that.
Yeah.
He's not in charge. In fact, there's a little part of me wondering if he even knows he stepped down yet. Ooh.
Hence the name of our episode. Does he know it yet?
Does Joe even know?
Oh, do.
Yeah. Well, old Joe, it's really funny because right now on Twitter, Jimmy Carter is trending.
And not because he conked out like...
No. It's because he is now celebrated, or no longer celebrated, or not celebrated. What's the opposite of celebrating? As the worst president ever. He has been replaced quite handily, frankly.
Well, the difference is Jimmy Carter is... and always has been a genuinely decent human being.
Genuinely decent human being.
And I liked him. I like him.
Sweet man, terrible president. The reason he was so ineffective is because he was so nice.
Yeah.
And the reason Biden's been so ineffective is because he's always been a jerk. Nobody who's ever worked with him has liked him. The Secret Service hates him because he runs around naked all the time. And no, that's true. Look it up. And
if you dare.
And now he's got somebody even less likable taking his spot.
Possibly. We're going to go over all of the possibilities in a few minutes.
Well, you actually have an article that you want to touch on, so
yeah,
I'll head over there with you.
Okay. Now, this is
Well,
the
let
most...
me go ahead and read if you haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
My fellow Democrats, I have decided not to accept the nomination and to focus all my energies on my duties as president. Has anybody checked on him? Do we even know if he's still with us? Because this has only been on social media. He hasn't come out and said anything.
Well, he's going to make a speech later, he said.
Well, did he say that?
Yes.
Because this is written by his interns.
I know.
None of this is actually Joe.
This is according to news sources. I don't know.
According to news sources means nothing. Anyways, it's been...
Well, point taken.
My very first decision as the party nominee in 2020 was to pick Kamala Harris as my vice president. No, you didn't. You said you were going to pick somebody who checks all the bigot boxes, and you looked around and she was the only one. And it's been the best decision I've made because she's done positively, absolutely nothing. That woman has done nothing.
Somewhere between doodly
Today, I
and
want to offer
squat.
my full support and endorsement for Kamala to be the nominee of our party this year. Democrats, it's time to come together and beat Trump. Let's do this. Yeah. Let's not actually do anything. We just have to beat the other guy.
the sad thing about it is, even though Joe Blow really stank, nobody else has higher polling numbers except possibly RFK Jr., and he's not a Democrat. And some,
Well, I mean, he was. I mean, he is.
He is for all intents and purposes.
But he was completely shut out in favor of old Joe. So here's a picture of Jimmy Carter. Pretty much looks dead, but he still looks better than Joe. And since he only ran for one term, he could run again.
Technically speaking, yes. And I'd rather have Carter than Harris. And it's not because she's black.
No, it has nothing
I
to do
don't
with
care
that. She's
what you got between your legs or what color those legs are.
Unqualified, unlikable, and frankly,
Dumber than a wet bag of rocks?
100% pure, well, dumber than a box of wet mice. Just pure diversity hire her entire life. She's just skated on that and that only. And she's a very mean, nasty person.
I don't know. I never met her.
Well, I mean, you think about how many people she kept in jail just so she could get free labor. Yeah. And she's never really done anything that benefited anybody.
And by the way, I am. If anybody listening has any idea of anything that she did, not what she was appointed to do, Border, what she actually, in fact, did.
Well, yeah, isn't she supposed to be taking care of the border?
Yeah, she's the border czar.
Yeah.
Yeah, great job so far.
Great job, kid.
Yeah.
She's never even been there. Well, I mean, she got close, but not in where it counts. Anyways, here's his official letter, supposedly. Over the past 3.5 years, we have made great progress as a nation. Why did he capitalize the word nation? He wouldn't say as a nation and capitalize the word whatever. And they make fun of Trump for capitalizing random words. Today, America has the strongest economy in the world.
Well, no, we usually
don't
we?
We don't right now, no. Yeah. We've made historic investments in rebuilding our capital nation again and lowering prescription drug costs for seniors. That is a flat-out lie. In fact, the first thing he did was sign an executive order to remove what Trump had done for that, and then
everything else
somewhat reinstated some of it and then took credit for it. And in expanding affordable health care to a record number of Americans. How? Where?
No, I'm thinking of a dear friend of mine who I mentioned before, who is undoubtedly an Obama supporter, and his wife is ill, and he's got stuck with a bill for $100,000 more. A lot of money.
Yeah, I have no health care. I had health care the entire time Trump was in office. I had health care. The minute Biden got in office, nothing.
Yeah.
Not to mention
so
no jobs.
I mean,
we provided critically needed care to 1 million veterans exposed to toxic substances.
Okay, that's.
Do you feel like you've been
that's legit.
Okay, but was it him who did that, or did he just ride the wave of what Trump had already done?
I don't know the details.
Because I remember you talking about how much better the VA was under Trump.
The VA definitely improved under Trump, for sure.
Let's see. Passed the first gun safety law in 30 years. That is not a good thing. That's nonsense. Appointed the first African American woman to the Supreme Court.
Who cares?
Basically,
was she competent?
We're racist. Rah us. That's the most racist, disgusting thing.
This is from the guy who will go down a whole line of people and ignore the black person, go to all the white people.
Eventually go back to her, but probably because somebody told him he had to.
Yeah, well.
I don't know why saying, oh, I've appointed, whatever for racist reasons is a good thing. I've never understood that, and I never will as long as I live. And passed the most significant
virtue
climate
signaler.
legislation in the history of the world.
Say that again.
It passed the most significant climate legislation? What does that
So,
even mean?
It doesn't
America
mean
has
nothing.
never been better positioned to lead than we are today. You are such a liar.
You're better positioned to be.
Can we talk about the open border? Can we talk about the hundreds of millions of children that you're trafficking? Can we talk about the fentanyl crisis? Can we talk about the fact that wages have gone down and the cost of literally everything has gone up? Can we talk about any of that?
Nah, why bother? He's gone. He's
he
history.
does say, I will speak to the nation, still capital N, later this week with more detail about my decision.
I done told you. He said he would.
Like I said, he doesn't write these letters. He doesn't even...
Well, they're going to pump him full of drugs and pop him up in front of the
I wonder if all the
TV.
W's are still missing from the typewriters in the White House.
Probably.
For now, let me express my deepest gratitude to those who have worked so hard to see me reelected. I want to thank Vice President Kamala Harris for being an extraordinary partner in all this work. I want to hear him read this.
No.
I'm Kamala's president and my wife Jill. And yeah, right. All right, so you had an article you wanted to share.
Yes, this is just to break down what the next steps are for the Democratic Party.
Okay, so
what do
we do now?
I'll tell you.
Okay.
Firstly, Kamala Harris is not a shoo-in, okay? I know that Biden endorsed her, but that no longer means much. President Biden announced Sunday he would not run for re-election, saying it is in the best interest of the Democratic Party and the country to withdraw from the race, and he endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris to be the nominee. The decision came nearly a month after Mr. Biden just crapped out. I mean, some of this is going to be my Melanie Hope type inserts.
They can see if you're watching the podcast. You can see on the screen.
That's right. Okay.
If you're just listening to the podcast, enjoy commentary by James Moniz.
Thank you. I did tell my joke, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. The decision came nearly a month after Mr. Biden pooped his pants in the middle of the debate and looked down at the floor and went,
yeah, that's pretty much what
which alarmed Democrats in Washington and sparked discussion about whether he could be replaced on the Democratic ticket. For weeks until Sunday, that's all, folks, Biden defied growing calls to step aside and sought to prove he was fit to run. Shoo-eh. Here's what we know about the process to replace 81-year-old Democratic nominee Blur.
So who wrote this? This is Catherine Watson with the
CBS
News. Okay.
CBS News.
Credit where credit is due.
Absolutely.
Extra commentary by James Moniz.
Exactly. I don't want to take away from your fine journalistic work, sweetheart.
Yeah,
but,
okay. Oh, did you just call her sweetheart? That was really misogynistic of you. Wow, I can't believe I'm married to you. Oh,
there's not even a picture of her. I don't even know if she's good looking or not. I have no idea.
You could only call good-looking women sweetheart?
Yes.
Would that explain why you never call me sweetheart?
Look, sweetie.
That's
look,
not
sweetness. Sweetheart. That's it. Sweetheart.
What was the name of that bear? Liver lips something or other?
we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a while. All right. Mr. Biden's decision to step aside before the Democratic Convention, which begins on August 19th in Chicago, could bring some chaos. Yes, said Derek Mueller, a law professor who cares where he's from, who specializes in who gives a crap. It's politically messy before the convention, but it's not legally messy, Mueller noted. There was no legal impediment to Mr. Biden's decision to give up the nomination, but the decision about who will replace Mr. Biden on the ticket will now be left to the thousands of Democratic delegates who were originally allocated to the president. I was a delegate once.
Really?
Well, I was a backup delegate. Didn't go. The National Task Force on Election Crises notes. Now, I want to stop for a moment. There's a National Task Force on Election Crises?
It's underlined, so that means there's a link somewhere.
Well,
National Task Force.
Yeah, you look that up while I continue. Since he stepped aside before the convention.
It's a thing.
Mr. Biden has endorsed his vice president, Cackling Harris, to be the nominee, and several top Democrats also quickly announced they'd back her nomination because, you know.
She couldn't even get 2% when she ran.
She's not going to get 2% on November 5th, but that's neither here nor there.
We still need to make it too big to rig, though, because they are going to have to do everything.
They'll pull out all the stops. But it will be up. They literally tried to kill the man. So, you know, what are we going to do? But it will be up to the delegates to determine the nominee now, and it's not clear yet whether any Democrat will challenge her. Former President Obama Lama Ding Dong nodded to the uncertainty of the moment soon after Mr. Biden stepped aside from the nomination. He did not endorse Harris. We will be navigating uncharted waters in the days ahead, he said in a statement. Okay,
you're giving him way too nice of a voice. We will be navigating I'm
just trying to sound like him. I got to work on the uhs and ums.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, he also doesn't sound like announcer man.
But I have extraordinary confidence that the leaders of our party will be able to create a process from which an outstanding nominee emerges.
That's more like what Biden looks like, especially when he does that whisper thing. Why does he do the creepy whisper thing? Why?
There could be other contenders who could make their case to the delegates currently pledged to vote for Mr. Biden. The Democratic National Committee affirmed Friday they would hold a virtual roll call to formalize Mr. Biden's nomination between August 1st through 7th, but the DNC has not...
What's a virtual roll call? Annette!
Annette!
Bobby!
Cubby!
What's a virtual roll call?
I don't know. The Democratic National Committee originally planned to hold its early virtual roll call almost 2 weeks before the party's nominating convention in order to meet a ballot certification deadline in Ohio on that date. Currently, President Biden is the only candidate on the ballot, although there is room for delegates to express their preference for another candidate. A fight over a nominee at the convention could be grueling. The 1924 Democratic National Convention took a record 103 ballots to nominate presidential nominee John W. Davis and vice presidential nominee Charles W. Bryan. No wonder they lost. They had to have that. They had to have that many people backing you up. Eesh. In 1960,
no. Explain to me what they mean by 103 ballots. What does that mean?
They have to. They vote to.
Well, I get that
nominate.
Voting and ballots.
I don't. You've caught me. You've caught me. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. So why is 103 ballots a record? I don't understand what that means. Did they have to vote?
They voted 103 times.
Okay, so it was 103 rounds.
Yeah.
Because ballots to me sounds like you just.
I know it's something different.
Okay.
In 1968, Robert Kennedy, father of current independent candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr., please vote for him instead of whoever. You know, if you're not going to vote for Trump, vote for him, please. If you care about our country.
I think the reason they ousted RFK Jr. is because they were afraid they're going to have another Bernie situation. Yeah. And they've thrown Bernie under the bus 3 times now.
If I were Bernie, I would have voted Republican. I'm done with these idiots. And I dance. Jumped in the race late after President Lyndon Johnson announced in late March he wouldn't seek re-election. Kennedy was on track to win more delegates than anti-war candidate Senator Eugene McCarthy when he was gunned down just after his speech following his victory in the California primary. Instead of nominating an existing candidate, the Democratic Party chose then Vice President Hubert Humphrey, Johnson's pick at the convention in Chicago. Humphrey, of course, lost to Richard Nixon.
Who, by the way, wasn't a bad president. We should talk
the
about
views
that
expressed on this show are not necessarily shared by...
Okay, you think of everything that Biden has done and gotten away with compared to Nixon.
I'm not saying...
Knowing about...
I'm not comparing the two of them.
Involved in Watergate, knowing about it, and that took him out of office. It's disgusting what Biden has gotten away with.
Well, no, I'm not saying, I'm not saying Biden... just neither one of them is a saint. If Democrats held a contested...
I didn't say he was a saint.
If Democrats held a contested convention today, presidential hopefuls would go and make their pitch to the state delegations.
Do you think they're really going to run Kamala? Honestly.
There's more to it than that because it's basically, it's up to the delegates now. So they're going to, I'm sure that when they are at the convention, people who would rather gouge out their own eyes than have Kamala president would.
Nobody wants to listen to Kamala. All right, so
no, this is the convention, and as the convention, we're all full of Democrats, so the Democrats are the
right. I'm on the National Task Force on Election Crises website.
Wow, there really is such a thing.
In the unfortunate event that a presidential candidate dies, becomes incapacitated, or resigns before Election Day, political parties have established procedures to replace that candidate and continue with the election. I can read this explainer as a PDF if I want to. Anyways, we will have this link on CounterCultureWISE. If you're interested, it sounds kind of boring. I want to read this statement from Clinton because what an eye roller. This is just wow. President Biden has capped his extraordinary career of service with a presidency that has lifted America out of unprecedented pandemic. Oy vey. Created millions of new jobs. No. Rebuilt a battered economy. No. He battered the economy and now we need to rebuild it. Strengthened our democracy by stealing an election and silencing anyone who mentions it. Oh, not to mention flooding the nation with millions, tens of millions of folks that you're going to let vote now. And restored our standing in the world. They're laughing at us. If you
Biden
mean our
right now,
standing as a joke,
yeah,
he definitely restored that. By any measure, he has advanced our founders' charge to build a more perfect union and his own stated goal of restoring the soul of our nation. Oh, you mean by calling half of us racist and terrorists and literal Nazis? You think that was the unity that this jerk has built?
This is going to play into what we read next.
We joined millions of Americans in thanking President Biden for all he's accomplished, standing up for America time and again, with his North Star always being what's best for the country, my fuzzy hind end. Joe Biden cares about Joe Biden, and that's all Joe Biden has ever cared for in his entire life. He's never cared for anything or anyone else. Joe Biden cares about Joe Biden. That's why he kept himself in the race for, oh my goodness, I don't know what just happened to my screen, but I did something really funny and made it teeny tiny. Why? Why did that happen?
Just like Biden's brain.
Just like Biden's brain. I don't know. I found a new button that I did not know it did things like that. So there you go. That was interesting. So we are honored to join the president in endorsing Vice President Harris, and we'll do whatever we can to support her. I bet you will.
Go ahead and do everything you can to support her,
We've lived through many ups and downs, but nothing has made us more worried for our country than the threat posed by a second Trump term. He has promised to be a dictator on day one. Oh my God, people. He laughingly said, when somebody said, oh, everybody says you're going to be a dictator, he laughingly said, oh, only on the first day. It was a freaking joke, you absolute tools. And the reason, by the way, for anybody who's listening who may be a Democrat or anti-Trump or, whatever floats your boat, if you think that conservatives, Republican or not, would put up with a dictator for a nanosecond, you've literally never met one and you've never talked to one and you have no idea what you are talking about. Have you read the Second Amendment and have you seen how much we protect that and how hard we fight for that? And do you even know why? This is why. So that we can fight off a dictator. And before you do the whole, oh, you need your own F-14s and nuclear bombs, tell that to Afghanistan. Tell that to Vietnam. Tell that to pretty much anybody who has ousted us with all our firepower, living in caves and running through jungles. And tell me that we could not defend ourselves against our own government if we had to. Conservatives would never put up with a dictator. So even pretending that a joke that Trump made in response to a stupid question, just an absolutely moronic gotcha question, and the fact that he joked about it because that's how ridiculous it was, then you took it and you're pretending like you believe it, and you and I both know you don't believe it. If you do, I've got some bridges in Arizona to sell you because you're going to need some help. Some waterfront property bridges. I did that wrong. See, that's how dumb you are. You make me.
I just gave her the Mr. Spock eyebrow raise.
You make me be dumb. I talkie down to you, and my brain go duh. Seriously, we would not put up with a dictator.
No, we
Get
wouldn't.
over it. You're being ridiculous. You look stupid. Stop drinking and go home. All right. The recent ruling by his servile Supreme Court will only embolden him to further shred the Constitution.
I'm just loving this. Weren't we just going on both sides of the aisle saying we need to tone down the inflammatory baloney, and the king of them all is doing it again?
That the recent ruling of the Supreme Court was to uphold the law as it already is. That's it. They didn't change anything. And, if you're so stupid, if you're so moronic, if you're so naive that you believe the news is real, if you honestly believe that he somehow has carte blanche to go out and shoot somebody in the streets and can't be... It doesn't say that. It never said that. And the Supreme Court upholding the so-called immunity clause doesn't even remotely come to... read the dang thing for... Well, of course, I'm probably talking to people who don't know how to read. If you read it, it says very plainly, in the course of his duties, okay? If it's not in the... No, he cannot call SEAL Team 6 and have his opponent assassinated, although we're kind of already trying that, aren't we? Anyways, this is just an absolute ridiculous statement. I'm trying very hard not to swear and not to get too angry because it's just that ridiculous. Okay, so you said you had
I did, but the fact that Biden has now stepped down from the election may render this obsolete, but I did want to read part of it because this was written by a Democrat and said Trump did something he's never done before with RNC speech. Now the election may already be over.
All right. Well, I mean, this kind of dovetails onto that because I think this Biden stepping down thing is the last Hail Mary. This is them desperately trying to fix this completely. The problem is they're stuck with Kamala. They really shot themselves in the foot.
But this is still relevant. I'm not going to stammer anymore.
Well, off you go.
Here we go. Here I go. This is written by Doug Shane for Fox News. Donald Trump may well have sealed the outcome of the 2024 election with a performance on Thursday night in Milwaukee that has largely been unmatched in recent American political history. The former president eschewed the polarization and division that has marked much of his rhetoric in the past. In his speech officially accepting the Republican Party's nomination, there were only a couple of references to the 2020 election. Trump was able to hit on key messages when speaking about topics like inflation and especially immigration in ways that were compelling and arguably responsive to the fundamental concerns of Americans. I say this not to engage in hyperbole, as I have never been and am not now a Trump supporter, but as a political analyst, you have to acknowledge reality, and the reality of this speech was simple. Trump spoke of the American dream. He spoke of bringing people together. Mm-hmm. He spoke of helping African Americans, Hispanics, and those who have been left behind.
Yep.
In short, Trump did something he has virtually never done before. Speak to all of the American people.
Actually, he does it at every single one.
I know. Look, I'm giving the guy his due. Okay.
That's literally all he's ever spoken to.
As he said, he wanted to speak not only to 50% but to 100% of the American people. Trump also understood that this was not a time to attack President Joe Biden personally or even by name.
Why beat him when he's down?
Yeah. His one reference to Biden was an aside to let the crowd of Milwaukee and indeed around the country know what he was thinking at a time when the incumbent president is still reeling from his poor debate performance and from COVID, not to make him appear like a victim. Rather, Trump was able to compellingly crystallize the challenges the American people have with the current administration and offer a degree of reassurance that things would be different under his leadership. It goes on for a bit, but you get the basic gist.
He was also tasteful and empathetic, spoke about what happened to him last Saturday, discussed the experience of the assassination attempt in a way that had me on the edge of my chair, even though I knew the story quite well and had seen the video many times. Yeah, he did do a good job. Mm-hmm. Put another way, the entire speech and its production made Trump much more likable and much more sympathetic than he's ever been before. And that's the thing that I heard over and over again that they were upset about is that why are we humanizing him?
Because he's human?
Well,
He bleeds. We know that to be a fact.
Terrifying question, and I can't believe that anybody could support a party that thinks that humanizing somebody is a bad thing.
Humanizing a human? Who would have thought?
Why would you want to be part of a party that literally dehumanizes someone? I mean, if you think about that, they're upset that this human being has been humanized. Why would you want to be part of any party that thinks it's acceptable to dehumanize someone while simultaneously using Hitlerian language to accuse him of being Hitler while you are literally dehumanizing him like Hitler would? It's like that Spider-Man meme where they're just all pointing to each other.
Yeah, I also want to give Trump credit for paying tribute to Corey Comparator in a very moving way.
Very moving way. I know he feels terrible
and despite
about
what
that.
people said, Trump did call them.
Oh yeah, he's called them a couple of times.
Yeah.
And she accepted his call. She didn't accept, because I'm so sick of hearing, she's not an American for not accepting Biden's call. Why would I accept a call from the man whose rhetoric murdered my husband?
More or
Why
less,
would I
yeah.
want to talk to him? He's called me a Nazi and a racist and a terrorist. He's called me a threat to
He's
democracy.
called me a MAGA Republican.
And he got my husband murdered in cold blood, in broad daylight. Why would I want to talk to him?
Precisely.
How are they even surprised by that? I don't understand at all.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Biden's out. And what's really funny is world leaders are already talking to Trump as if he's in office. So I thought that was hilarious. I mean, that's already happening.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, I'm hoping that Trump will turn off the spigot and stop sending scads and scads of money overseas. And
well, I'm pretty sure that, I mean, Putin and Zelensky have already reached out to Trump. I'm pretty sure that war will end within 24 hours of him being in office, if not a week.
I'd give it a week, but not,
maybe sooner.
Yeah.
I seriously, I honestly believe with all my heart that will be taken care of. And I think the number one thing that has to be done, well, frankly, if you want to end it forever, just put Russia in NATO and then NATO will dissolve. Done. I mean, there's no need for it anymore. So yeah, just have Russia join NATO.
It's an outdated concept.
Because if Ukraine joins NATO, that's war. That's war. And that, you know, Putin told everybody over and over, stay away from our border, get away, back off, back off. It's like you keep poking a mad dog and then you cry foul when the dog finally bites you. That's what they did. I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you. And
boom, there you're touched.
Yeah, finally he hauls off and smacks him, and now they're running to mommy America and wanting, you know, it's like, this is ridiculous. Just either dissolve NATO or let Putin in NATO. And it'll be as ineffective and ridiculous as it's always been. There was a time and a place for it. No more.
Okay.
Anything else you want to say on the matter? Because we've got still more to talk about.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk too much more about it except to say that I think Biden did the right thing. I think.
Well, no, the right thing would have been for him to leave office altogether. The problem is, whoever's running the country, we don't know who it is because it's definitely not Biden.
Yeah.
They don't even want the illusion that it's Kamala. She's completely incapable. So they still need to have the puppet in place until they figure out who the next puppet is going to be.
Right.
I don't know if Kamala's, you know, going to play ball. If you can get her off her knees long enough to do it, I'm sure she would.
My, what a catty remark.
Well, that's the only reason she is where she is. Yeah. I mean, he literally said, "Oh, it's going to have to be a black female." So the Supreme Court, and meanwhile, he's elevating mentally unstable men in dresses over women, and his entire administration is a joke. And you know, I'm just such a cute curly-haired lesbian, and I'm the first and this and that. It's like, yeah, but you're stupid.
Yeah,
Jean-Pierre
she's
is stupid.
She's the epitome of cute and dumb.
And absolutely useless. And
Yeah.
this so-called transparent, I mean, these guys have lied to you from day one. We knew Biden had dementia back when he was vice president. Go back and look at the memes. And you told us we're crazy and we're conspiracy theorists. And no, he obviously had dementia. Way back then, we knew that. And, it's progressed really, really fast as he's gotten older, and it's sad. And like I said before, watching what they've done to him, at first I thought, this is elder abuse. This is cruel. But knowing about him and going back and reading his history and who he was and what he said and what he's done and what he keeps repeating and how he treats people, I only wish the old bastard were aware enough to know how he's being used and how awful he's being treated. Because he is an awful human being. He is a horrible man.
Well, come January, it's not going to matter anymore.
He's a terrible parent. Look at every last one of his kids. They're all awful. Every last one of his kids. That is not good parenting.
No,
and say what you will, but Trump's kids all came out great.
Yep, they're all responsible adults, business owners, business runners.
Yeah, and
decent human beings that
his niece was absolutely fantastic on the
RNC stage. Yeah,
she was precious. She really
was. It was a really good convention all the way around. I didn't see all of it. I'm happy he chose a jarhead to be vice president. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm on the fence with this guy because I don't know him, and he was an anti-Trumper. But that was a big thing. Is he's an anti-Trumper. He's an anti-Trumper. What made him change his mind? I was like, well, maybe he grew up.
Well, he did. He's said numerous times already. He was nervous about Trump to begin with, but grew to appreciate him, and so.
Well, and there were several people on that
stage. People are allowed to change their minds.
Well, and they've been gaslit and lied to, and when they finally wake up and realize, wait a minute, none of this is true. None of this is true. I mean, there are people who believed in the Fine People hoax or the Drink Bleach hoax or, the list goes on. And when they find out it's not true, they should leave the party that lied to them. Yeah. They should leave it. Now, I'm not saying they should defect to the opposite party, but at this point, we haven't moved as far as conservatives go, and I'm not a Republican. I never have been. I've never registered as a Republican, but I am on the conservative side. I'm more of an anarcho-capitalist, and I believe the government should just be chopped altogether. We should just get rid of the government. It served its purpose for its time. All these gigantic, mega entitlement. There's got to be another way, okay? Because we have this big, bloated Titanic of a government that we cannot steer. We've already plowed into an iceberg multiple times. The ship is sinking, and we need to rethink that. We need to Venezuela this party. We need to just chop. Abuela. We need to get rid of this thing. Was it Nick? Who was the guy? I could be.
I don't know.
Anyways,
you're on a roll. It's like that scene.
I'm on a bagel. I'm on a sesame seed bun.
It's like that scene in Animal House. Let him go. He's on a roll.
Anyways, we need to chop, hack, and slice. Get rid of all of this ridiculous red tape. Our government is supposed to be small. Yeah. Always supposed to be. From the very beginning, that's why we have the checks and balances, and instead we just sat back and let it get bloated to the point where it's completely
As I am in line for a government job, potentially, I'm not going to...
It's gotten to the point where that's the only way you can get medical benefits and enough pay to survive. I mean, that's literally the only way you can, is working for the government. And I'm sorry I have to send you into the belly of the beast, but I wouldn't survive. The first thing they do is make me put on shoes, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I have to have a clean appearance, too. That's going to stink.
You are clean.
Yeah,
you have no hair. You can't get any cleaner than that. I guess we could shave off your eyebrows. Go full Pink Floyd.
Yeah. Sorry.
Speaking of cleaning up.
Yeah, let's
segue into this craziness that's also going, grounding planes and stopping just craziness here. Technology outage disrupts flights, banks, media outlets, companies around the world. So this also was going on in the middle of all of this. So I thought it was really funny that the statement from Bill Clinton pretty much looks like a blue screen of death because that's basically what happened. Which is also Biden's brain. So it's kind of a theme, the blue screen of death here. So this is coming out of, I think I just got this one because it was a good, it's the AP. A global technology outage grounded flights, knocked banks offline and media outlets off air on Friday in a massive disruption that affected companies and services around the world and highlighted dependence on software from a handful of providers. And this is one of the reasons I use almost all open software whenever I can. Cybersecurity from CrowdStrike said that the issue believed to be behind the outage was not a security incident or cyber attack. The issue affected Microsoft 365 apps and services, and escalating disruptions continued hours after the technology company said it was gradually fixing it. Now, the joke about this is that CrowdStrike is all in on DEI. I mean, they're big proponents of DEI. And it's like, so Boeing went all in on DEI and their planes are literally dropping out of the sky. Parts are falling off. They're having to make landings with no landing gear. So this company went all in on DEI and they basically blue screen of death the entire planet and had to try to get things back up, and it took them for dang ever. Let's see. The website Down Detector, which tracks user-reported internet outages, recorded growing outages and services at Visa, ADT Security, and Amazon airlines, including American Airlines and Delta. News outlets in Australia reported that airlines, telecommunication providers, and banks and media broadcasters were disrupted as they lost access to computer systems. We should not be this intertwined.
No, we shouldn't be.
Airlines in the UK, Europe, and India reported problems, and some New Zealand banks said they were offline. Microsoft 365 posted on X that the company was working on rerouting the impacted traffic to alternate systems to alleviate impact in a more expedient fashion. This is also why I have an older version of all my Adobe and all of my Microsoft products, because I get to own the software.
Mm-hmm.
Because as Microsoft 365 and Adobe Suite and all of that, you don't get to own it. It's all online.
Right.
So I was happily using Word with no issues because I have an older version of it where everybody else who had the 365 nonsense that it's constantly pushing every time you start your computer, they probably couldn't even access their documents.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in having to pay every month for a subscription to software that I should just be able to bring up on my computer. I'm not interested.
I think the argument can be made, though, and just putting this out there, I don't want to go into it for a long time because we got other stuff to talk about. But if the idea is if you subscribe to these things, you're constantly getting the most up-to-date version and all the new features and all of that. Whereas if you just buy the software, then you're stuck statically with most of what they offer, except for security upgrades and that kind of thing.
They used to do that, no problem.
Yeah.
And I mean, at some point, I remember a friend of mine, Indian, who worked for Microsoft, he would complain that they put him on dog food. Mm-hmm. And that's what they call it when they test their own stuff, because
they did that at Google when I worked there.
Dogs eat their own crap, basically. Yeah. You'd think it'd be better at predicting these types of things. Okay, folks, we're going to be putting pictures of our pets up on Insta because this is just too cute. We'll be putting pictures up. All right. Well, I don't want to go much further.
No, it's not useful. We're going to pay tribute now to a show business legend and one of the last of that generation of incredible comics.
Yeah. I hate talking about dead people after all of this, but I mean, we talked about Biden for quite a while, so
there you go.
So there you go.
Bob Newhart, the deadpan accountant turned comedian who became one of the most popular TV stars of his time after striking gold with a classic comedy album.
Was he actually an accountant?
Yes, he started off as an accountant.
So, but he played a shrink. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
And then the
funny.
owner of a resort. Anyway,
he was funny.
Yeah. I actually watched an episode of the 70s Bob Newhart show that had John Ritter in it, and
Yeah.
Lucy Dreyer from Laugh-In. It was a good episode.
I'll have to look that one up.
Anyway,
I used to watch the Bob Newhart show, and I was too young to actually fully understand
I
it. But
was same with me.
It always came up late at night.
It was on after. I think the reason we watched it is because it was on right after Carol Burnett.
And then I think Barney Miller or something, and I didn't understand half the jokes. I'd like to go back now that I'm a grown up and watch them and see how much I understand, because those shows were funny.
Jerry Digney, Newhart's publicist, says the actor died Thursday in Los Angeles after a series of short illnesses.
Well, he was 94.
That's good enough for true. Newhart, best remembered now as the star of two hit television shows of the 70s and 1980s that bore his name, launched his career as a stand-up comic in the late 1950s. He gained nationwide fame when his routine was captured on vinyl in 1960 as The Button-Down Mind of Bob Newhart, which is a hilarious album, which went on to win a Grammy Award as Album of the Year. While other comedians of the time, including Lenny Bruce, Mort Saul, Alan King, and Mike Nichols and Elaine May, frequently got laughs with their aggressive attacks on modern mores, Newhart was an anomaly. His outlook was modern, but he rarely raised his voice above a hesitant, almost stammering delivery. Mm-hmm. His only prop was a telephone used to pretend to hold a conversation with someone on the other end of the line.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
In one memorable skit, he portrayed a Madison Avenue image maker urging Abraham Lincoln to quit tinkering with the Gettysburg Address and stick with his speechwriter's draft.
It's funny.
You changed 7 to 87? Newhart asks in disbelief. Abe, that's meant to be a grabber. It's sort of like Mark Antony saying, friends, Romans, countrymen, I've got something I want to tell you. Another favorite was Merchandising the Wright Brothers, in which he tried to persuade the aviation pioneers to start an airline, although he acknowledged the distance of their maiden flight could limit them. Well, see, that's going to hurt our time to the coast if we've got to land every 105 feet. Newhart was initially wary of signing on to a weekly TV series, fearing it would overexpose his material. Nevertheless, he accepted an attractive offer from NBC, and The Bob Newhart Show premiered on October 11th, 1961. Despite Emmy and Peabody Awards, the half-hour variety show is canceled after one season, a source for jokes by Newhart for decades later. He waited 10 years before undertaking another Bob Newhart show in 1972. That's the one we all know and love.
Yeah.
This one was a situation comedy with Newhart playing a Chicago psychologist living in a penthouse with his schoolteacher wife, Suzanne Plachette, who is just a great foil for him on that show. Their neighbors and his patients, notably Bill Daly as an airline navigator, were a wacky, neurotic bunch who provided an ideal counterpoint to Newhart's deadpan commentary. The series, one of the most acclaimed of the 70s, ran through 1978. 4 years later, the comedian launched another show simply called Newhart. This time he was a successful New York writer who decides to reopen a long-closed Vermont inn. Again, Newhart was the calm, reasonable man surrounded by a group of eccentric locals. Again, the show was a huge hit, lasting 8 seasons on CBS.
It seems like 8 seasons is his thing.
Yeah. I love this part. It bowed out in memorable style in 1990 with Newhart in his old Chicago psychologist character waking up in bed with Plachette, cringing as he tells her about the strange dream he had.
I remember this.
I was an innkeeper in this crazy little town of Vermont. The handyman kept missing the point of things, and then there were these 3 woodsmen, but only one of them talked. The stunt parodied a Dallas episode where a key character was killed off.
Daryl and my other brother Daryl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The stunt parodied a Dallas episode where a key character was killed off, then revived when the death was revealed to have been in a dream. 2 later series were comparative duds, Bob in 1992 and 93, and George and Leo, 1997 and 1998. I would have liked to have seen George and Leo because I think the other character was played by Judd Hirsch.
Oh,
I love those guys.
How fun.
Though nominated several times, his only Emmy came for guest role on The Big Bang Theory.
Really?
I guess they think I'm not acting. That is just Bob being Bob. He's sad about not winning television's highest honor during his heyday.
That's funny.
So, yeah, that goes on and on and on. It talks about his friendship, his close friendship with Don Rickles. Duh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, it does go on for quite a while.
It goes on ways, but he's...
the world is less funny.
Yeah, a lot less funny. He's got an amazing resume, though. I mean, he's appeared in so many television shows and movies. I liked him in Elf. He was great in Elf.
He was great in Elf, yeah. Very, very funny. Very
So,
funny. And he could keep a straight face when nobody else could.
Oh, I know. He's the king of deadpan. I mean,
Yeah.
everything Stephen Wright does on stage, he learned that deadpan from Bob Newhart, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Just absolute
Yeah.
brilliance. My favorite sketch of his was the bus driving school. Have you ever heard that one?
I haven't. I'll have to look it up.
Well, we'll give it a listen after tonight, maybe after the show is ready.
Yeah, we will do that to celebrate the show.
Yeah.
All right, one last article for our intro here. This one hits close to home.
When Melanie and I visited Las Vegas for the first time, it was to go to the beautiful Beatles Love show at the fabulous Mirage in Las Vegas.
This is one of my mom's dying wishes, and my stepdad didn't like Vegas and didn't want to go, so she said, well, can I take Melanie? And he said, yeah, off you go. And I had literally just met Jim.
Yeah.
We barely knew each other.
We've been together about 6 months, maybe.
Yeah, 5-6 months.
Yeah.
And then she said, well, can I take Jim too? Because she knew Jim was a huge Beatles fan and she really liked Jim. And I'm so glad that not only did my mom know I was going to be okay, because obviously this Jim thing was going to work out, but she also got to see the ring because it was on layaway. So when my mom passed, obviously we hadn't gotten married yet, but she knew.
She knew it was about to happen.
Anyway, she drags us off to fabulous Las Vegas, and we stayed at the Mirage.
And we were enamored of the place. It's
beautiful hotel.
The volcano, the dolphins, the white tigers, the Beatles show itself, and the
bass that still makes Jim cry.
Yeah, it was. They had this because they were hosting a Beatles show. They had to have the obligatory Beatles shop, and they had lots of exclusive merchandise that you could buy fake on eBay. But the one thing they had was a Hofner bass, one of the famous Paul McCartney Beatle basses, violin shaped, who had been signed over several decades by all four members of the Beatles. And I just stood there looking at it, and tears are streaming down my face. I mean, I've seen some gorgeous freaking instruments. I've held a 59 Les Paul Gibson in my hand. Nothing made me cry. That made me cry.
That was a beautiful instrument.
Just absolutely insanely. The buffet was one of the very best
fantastic.
I've ever been to.
Stations from around the world, a lot of fun.
Yeah, international buffet. There was a BB King's BB King's Blues Club there. We had lunch at, but it closed down right afterwards.
The pool.
The pool where I almost proposed to
almost
Melanie.
Did. I actually, we're just like playing around in the pool, and I wrapped my legs around him, and we're bobbing around in the water, and I actually felt
the strings.
I actually heard.
Then there was a needle scratch because it was,
because in the back of my head, I'm literally, don't do it. No, please don't do it. Not in the middle of the pool. Not.
My senses got the better of me. And I wound up proposing to her several months later in the forest. So
where it should have gone down.
Yeah, and it did.
And it was lovely. And we even accidentally had witnesses. So.
Yes, we did.
Hikers were
so anyway, the reason we're talking so much about this is it's closed.
Stupid, dumb old Hard Rock.
Well,
they already had a hotel. Why did they have to take them around?
Actually, this is going to be a strange thing. There is the Seminole tribe licensed the name Hard Rock from Hard Rock Company. The ownership of the now former Mirage is different from the ownership of the old Hard Rock Casino. This is in fact the very first casino in Las Vegas that's going to be run by a Native American tribe. So it's not the same company.
That's backwards, because everywhere else it's only the Native Americans that can run casinos.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So
aren't they the ones that took out the protesters on the road? They were the ones that their police.
What protests? What are we talking about?
So there was that one highway that goes between Vegas and California.
Oh yeah.
When folks were trying to get to, I think it was Burning Man or something.
Oh yeah.
There was a bunch of protesters blocking the the oil.
Right. Whatever.
Yeah. Anyways, I think it was I know they were Native Americans, but they
Mhm.
basically just blasted right through them, and everybody was laughing about how they're,
Yeah.
they don't play that.
No, they don't play that. The volcano that was a big, um, one of the big things about the hotel.
We used to
they're going
have
to-
really cool shows just on the strip, like besides the Bellagio
Yeah.
Fountains, which I think is the only thing left.
Yeah.
You used to have the Treasure Island.
Treasure Island Pirates.
That's gone now. Now it's
yeah.
a CVS. And you used to have the volcano that would erupt, and there'd be this big light show, and it was really cool. And there were several things like that. And now they're all gone.
All of that got shunted over to
CVS's
Fremont
and-
Street, where they have the music videos every hour and the
Yeah,
big
but it's
production.
just a big screen. It's
Yeah.
not the same.
So what's going to happen is that area is going to be replaced by a large guitar-shaped hotel. It's not just a guitar-shaped sign like it was at the old one.
Mhm.
It's actually going to be a guitar, and it better be a Gibson Les Paul. That's all I'm saying. You give me that Stratocaster crap, I ain't playing. But or maybe just like a hummingbird acoustic, whatever. But it's going to be
It's the hard rock. It's not going to be an acoustic.
well, there you are.
It should be the Flying V. I mean, come on.
Well,
Let's
okay,
be
I would
honest.
accept a Flying V. I would accept a Flying V.
I mean, if we're gonna go hard
But
rock,
it's going to be several hundred more rooms. The structure of the Mirage Hotel is going to stay there. They're just going to revamp the rooms. What they were originally going to do was to keep it open and just gradually make the changes and open it up sometime or finalize it sometime in 2028. But what they decided to do was to save time and probably money by closing it down completely and then refurbishing it, restoring it, build the guitar tower, and then open it up in 2027. So that's a destination of mine in 2027 is to go there and check out the changes, but it won't be the same.
apparently they have the video of the final.
The final volcano eruption. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
watching that before we got started. The smoke had just started to come spewing out, but it was a lot of fun.
Well, I tried to click on it and it's just spinning and won't let me.
How dare
let me
they.
get to it? Yeah.
All right. But anyway, changes of ownership of hotels and changing of names in hotels in Las Vegas or having them closed down, it's an almost everyday thing anymore, and it has been for decades. This one just feels different because it has a link to our lives. It wasn't just wasn't just some place where we went to have dinner. This was
and when they,
it began my love affair with Las Vegas. So
it is. I mean, that's why we eventually moved there. I think the flamingo is going to go next. You know what's really sad is after they do all of this, the trop is gone, the H is gone. They're all gone now. But God bless Circus Circus. They're still there.
And they're the skeeziest hotel in the whole strip.
They're so skeezy. It's the worst hotel
That
ever.
one and
Excalibur,
which started off being another.
It was pretty cool, yeah.
Pretty cool, but now it's just like it's really slow.
Really slow. Let's do double speed, double time. Here we go. All right.
It's as slow as Joe Biden getting off a stage.
Yikes.
Hey.
Well, is it going or not? It's not showing anything.
It takes a while for it to even start.
Okay, well,
but
I'm going
once
to get
it
to
starts,
the place where
it
it
starts.
starts. There we go. Now we got some steam going. All right, a little steam out. Woo! Fire! 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 Actually, I can probably turn that off so you can see the whole thing. Drag that down a little bit. See the whole thing. Woo! Yeah, we actually got to see this live, and you do feel the heat.
Yeah, it's real. I mean, it
You
isn't
see.
real. It's fake. But you know what I mean?
It's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
But I think it did this every hour?
Roughly. A few times a day anyway.
Now, I wonder if they still have the Clash of the Titans thing down in that was down in the bowels of Caesar's Palace, if I recall. The
Yeah,
fountain.
that thing, I think that's still going. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, the animatronics is kind of hokey.
It's outdated and hokey, but
yeah. But yeah, you used to be able to walk up and down the strip and you.
that was one of the attractions. That's how they brought you into the casinos and how
Right.
they brought you into the stores and restaurants and buying stuff.
The buffets used to be cheap and now they're ridiculous.
No, actually, it's more like they're non-existent.
The buffets are being taken out altogether?
Yeah, most of them. I mean, the one at the Mirage closed down over a year ago. Once Hard Rock bought the property, they closed down the buffet.
Well, what about the
exceptions would be the station casinos, because those.
But those were always like, golden arches, not golden arches, golden corrals type.
Yeah, but it was young.
Okay, now everybody's leaving. Everybody's like, yeah, that was boring.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, whatever. That was it. So, well, folks.
I think that's part of it, though. I mean, what appeals to us doesn't appeal to the next generation.
Yeah, that's probably exactly what it is.
So it's like
they took down Treasure Island.
They did, because the Strip is not for oldsters.
Not anymore.
The old people go to Fremont, or they go on the east side to Sam's Town or whatever, or Arizona Charlie's. They don't mess with the Strip most of the time, and the locals don't bother either.
Well, I mean, it caters so much to China now. That is the number one. Literally China. All of the outlet malls, everything. All the signs are in Chinese.
They know their audience.
They know their audience.
They know their audience. Good for them.
That's what it's come down to. Well, folks, had a lot to talk about today. We'll be right back with some news of the weird and wonderful. Let's check in on Chuck.
And now, CCW News presents Holy Crap, This Is Actually Happening. Now You Gotta Kiss Me, special report, July 15, 2024. I'm Chuck U. Farley. Former and future President Donald J. Trump survived an assassination attempt at his Pennsylvania rally last Saturday. After getting a boost onto the roof from CIA agents, waving at the Secret Service snipers 150 yards away, and fist-bumping a local sheriff or two, the 20-year-old public school product proceeded to fire into the crowd, wounding the president's ear and murdering husband, father, and firefighter hero Corey Compratore before finally being taken out by the Secret Service snipers, who finally were jolted into actually doing their jobs. Surrounded by brave men who protected him with their bodies, and one diversity hire who needed a step stool and a low-carb diet, the president stood defiantly with blood trickling down his face, raised his fist, and shouted, "Fight, fight, fight," to the terrified crowd, and managing to land such an epic photo that will be hung in the Smithsonian right next to the Iwo Jima flag raising. He was then hustled away by the all-female 5'4" Keystone Cop Brigade, fully exposed, one assumes in hopes there was a second shooter. Snakes, scorpions, and other venomous vermin like Stephen King took to social media to prove beyond a doubt that their diet of fake news has completely replaced their basic humanity with vitriol. Morning Joe, along with several other pundits directly responsible for the shooting, had their shows pulled today in lieu of their platforms attempting to report actual news for once. This reporter is not holding his breath. Biden popped his head out of his cave long enough to say he does not condone actual violence against his political foes, other than taking them behind the gym to beat the hell out of them, and not when he spent so much time and money on all those court cases. He then called for unity by reminding us that Trump is still a threat to the country and should be taken out at the battle box. Yes, he really said battle box. Or in any way possible that doesn't present such amazing optics. For CCW News, this has been a Holy Crap, This Is Actually Happening special report. I'm Chuck U. Farley. Good night, and may God bless you, God bless President Trump, and God bless America.
CounterCultureWISE is proud to present News of the Weird and Wonderful. Here are your hosts, Melanie Hope and Jim Monis.
Have we got some stories for you? And this guy is very enterprising, and I wish him luck.
Okay.
A Texas man legally changed his name to literally anybody. Let's try it again. Anybody else. Changed his name to literally anybody else to apply for a particularly difficult to get job, President of the United States. So for those of you who want to literally vote for anybody else, now you've got a guy.
Okay,
35
it's hard to change a name though. It costs like hundreds of dollars.
It's expensive and time consuming.
Yeah.
The 35-year-old military veteran and middle school math teacher, formerly known as Dustin Eby, said he is running for president to protest the current major party candidates, President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, I don't either. And show his distaste for a system that his website states often prioritizes partisan battles over real solutions.
True. Wait, he has a website?
Yes. Else is running a write-in campaign in Texas where
That's it, Else.
where he did not get the required 113,000 signatures to make it onto the ballot, and is expected to appear by name on the Tennessee ballot, where he said he did get the required amount of signatures. It's not necessarily about drawing attention to my grievances, Else told KTRK TV, but about giving a place for anyone who shares these grievances to come together to a focal point. Else announced Neil David Sutz, a New York man currently living in Switzerland, will be his running mate.
All right, so here's his website. Literally Anybody Else President 2024. And yeah, support the Literally Anybody Else campaign. Minimum donation $100. North Texas man changes his name to Literally Anybody Else, is now running for president. I don't blame him.
No, I don't either.
Yeah, so go to wow. We'll have these links on our website. Fed Up Texan changes his name to Literally Anybody Else runs for president.
Yep.
This is the guy.
That's the guy.
This is our guy.
So several of our stories in this segment come from the great Republic of Texas.
I mean, well, we are the Great Republic. Yep.
One more Texas story, and
it is on his ID. They actually show his ID. It says Literally Anybody Else, and that is on his ID. That's
good for
hilarious.
Him. Good for him.
Hilarious.
He'll be a perennial presidential candidate, probably. If I weren't already committed, I would have given my vote.
That runs every year and like never.
Oh, the buckethead guy. I don't know. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He runs every year.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's some.
No, it's an old guy with a long beard and just.
He runs every year.
Yeah, he runs every election
Wouldn't
season.
Wouldn't it be funny if, like, someday we all just got so fed up we voted for him and just like whatever, and he wins? And he'd be like, now what do I do?
I'd rather vote for myself.
It'd be like the Roadrunner when he catches,
the coyote who catches the Roadrunner. What do I do now?
What do I do now? Yeah, that'd be hilarious. Yeah. Okay. Aw, this one's so sweet. Okay, it's my turn, I guess.
Yep.
Poor little Woggy. I think I've got, okay. Dog with bowl stuck over her head rescued. Look at her little doggy. Police in Texas said a dog seen wandering with a plastic bowl stuck over its head has been captured and freed from her predicament. The Manville Police Department revealed earlier this week on social media that a yellow lab mix has been seen wandering in the community. I want to see the social media post. That up, okay. With what appeared to be a clear What is wrong with my face? Clear plastic bowl stuck over her face. This poor doggy. Look at that. Oh my goodness, the poor puppy. She's been captured and is en route to the vet. Thank you to our animal control, local citizens, and rescue groups for the help. Capturing her, we are still searching for this dog in the area of Del Bello. Poor puppers. With a bowl stuck on her dang head. She was wandering around. The photo wasn't that great. So many people like, oh, thank you.
We'll call the dog Tupper.
Tupper. Cute.
My favorite headline of the week.
Well, I want to see what she looks like without the bowl on her head. Nobody posted a picture of her without the bowl on her head. Because she looks so much like Sadie, only yellow. Yeah. Why is there no update?
Maybe because there hasn't been one yet.
But no, they said they captured her and got the bowl, and she looks well fed, so somebody somewhere loves her.
Yeah.
Aw, puppers. Okay, well, we don't have an update, but once we have one, we will let you know.
Okay. My favorite headline of the week: Provo woman becomes fastest mermaid in the world at Merlympics.
Merlympics?
Yeah. A lot of young girls pretend to be a mermaid while swimming in a pool or the ocean, but one Provo woman has made that dream come true and competed in the Merlympics, which is a real thing, obviously.
Okay.
Mia Sim, 22, became the fastest mermaid in the world in May when she competed at the Swiss Merlympics in Geneva, Switzerland, short for Mermaid Olympics.
Okay.
The Merlympics have been around since 2015, and the competition is held every 2 years. Sim has officially been mermaiding for 10 years. And she said...
Mermaiding? That's a verb now?
Yes. And she said...
Hey, Jim, have you ever gone mermaiding?
No.
I'm so disappointed.
It wouldn't work out so well for me.
Wouldn't there be mermanning?
That's exactly it. And no, I'm not going to... There's no business like shopping. There, I just mermaned for you. The Merlympics have been around since 2015, and the competition is held every 2 years. Sim has officially been mermaiding for 10 years, like I said, and she said the Merlympics have really boomed in the last 5 years.
That's not a thing. How is that a thing?
It's Switzerland. What else they got going on? This is the elite athleticism you can get out of mermaids, Sim said. Many mermaids will do pageants or events, but the Merlympics are solely designed to prove athleticism.
Okay.
All athletes must compete 5 events at the Merlympics. Ecology. The athlete dives down and retrieves as much trash as possible in 90 seconds.
Trash?
Figures. The competitor has to perform 3 of 10 mermaid figures. I don't even know what that means. Underwater posing. Each person dives down and poses for a picture and then has to swim away for the next person to take their spot. Sim said she thinks this one is the hardest. Rescue. The mermaid has to do a 25-meter submerged swim and rescue a dummy. Speed. The athletes race along the top of the water for 50 meters. Of course, all of the events are completed while wearing full mermaid or merman gear, meaning their legs are bound from their hips to their toes and their tail.
Tanya Streeter embarked on a mission.
Some mermaids will wear fancy headdresses or even wigs to complete their mer look. Sim placed 15th overall in the adult competition, but won the speed event and broke the record for mermaid speed. I am the fastest to date. I currently hold the record, she said. The mermaid speed event is hard because the race requires the athletes to swim with the back of their head breaking the water, Sim said. It slows you down a lot, so it's not designed to be super fast, she said. Her time was a little over 38 seconds. Sim was a cheerleader and gymnast growing up, but after multiple foot surgeries and a spinal injury, she had to leave those sports behind. She started swimming as it's a low-impact sport that's good for people who are healing. This goes on way too long, but you get the idea.
Oh, I found the trailer for the competition.
Okay.
So here's the pool, and the challenge is speed challenge. So like there's little like grown ass men
and women.
This one shows men. Okay, there's a grown ass woman. This is the thing.
Should we have done this in nice things instead?
I'm really not sure what to make of this. Here's the thing. I am a swimmer. I love swimming.
Yeah, she's a fish, basically.
And I swim like a frog, I'll be honest. I do more like not drowning than I do swimming, but to put a fish apparatus on my body and to pretend... That's not what grown people do. Am I crazy? I mean, that is not what grown people do. I watch cartoons whenever I can. In fact, after we're done recording this, I'm going to probably watch some cartoons and unwind for a bit. But that's different. You're watching the cartoon. You're not being the cartoon.
Not this time, no.
And I get it. I mean, when I was, 7, 8, 9... we used to wear long skirts and we'd go down to the creek and we'd pretend we were mermaids.
Mm-hmm.
that's normal. But to be a grown woman or a grown man and to put a pretend fishtail, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They look so happy though. So, how can you be upset? Here's the thing. If they're happy, God bless them.
Yeah.
If that's what makes them happy, they're not hurting anybody.
Not at all.
Let them do it.
They're having fun.
They're having fun and they're fit and they're exercising. So God love them. God bless them and happy mermaiding or mermanning or whatever. Okay. This one's a little more straightforward.
Everything's a little more straightforward than that.
Than mermaiding. Okay. So I want to tell everybody about my bird bath that I set up outside my window.
Yeah.
And I set up a bird feeder. I'd say about 20, 30 feet away from my window, just so I could see the birds eat. And I attracted numerous birds, and the most exciting are the bright red cardinals, which I think I've talked about
beautiful.
Before. Absolutely gorgeous. And the weirdest thing started happening. We have a window AC unit in this office, which you typically hear because it's so loud. And they started landing on that and just kind of looking at me.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what to make of it. They're just like, hey, what's going on? And I didn't know what to do. And then I realized that the little creek that typically runs through our property had completely dried up. So I thought, well, I wonder if I were to put out like a bowl of water, do they need water?
Right.
So we had this really cute little ceramic thing that we never used for anything else. And I filled it full of water and I put it out there on top of the AC unit. And sure enough, the babies, it's the babies mostly. So the hatchlings have been landing and drinking water, and the mamas have been landing and drinking water. And what's amazing is when they do it, they all look in the window and look at me when I'm working, like, hey, thank you. Hey, I'm here drinking water. I have not had a single male do it yet.
Interesting.
So I don't know where the males are getting the water. The males, of course, the ones with the brightest plumage and the black masks around their face. And I would love to get a photo of a male doing that. But, so far it's been the babies with their feathers not quite fully grown in, and the mamas that are mostly gray with the bright orange tips and the orange beaks and the red streaks on their feathers. Not a full-blown male red, what you see cardinal on, the Christmas cards typically.
Right.
But I'm talking 3 feet away from this microphone. Like, they're right there. And right outside the window. I feel like nature was talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like them landing on the AC unit and looking in at me and me picking up on the fact that they needed water and then them coming to that water. Mm-hmm. It's almost like nature was talking to me. And I don't think that's weird. I think that's wonderful, amazing. Because I literally would look at them and they were looking at me through the window and I'm like, hey, sweetie, hey, what do you want? And I was talking to them and they would cock their heads different ways. And it just all of a sudden entered my head, oh, we don't have a bird bath and that little creek is all dried up.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they come and they drink the water and they look right at me while they're doing it. It's so cool. They're so beautiful. So check out our Instagram for pictures of that and possibly our Twitter, X. And yeah, you'll see pictures of our birdies just looking in on us and saying, hey, what's up? So mostly on Insta. So check out our Instagram. All right, this next picture is about baby birds. So let's talk about this bird.
And tortillas.
and tortillas, which we do make at home, by the way. A family found the Mississippi kite on the ground outside while barbecuing. They said it felt cold, so they heated up a tortilla on the grill and wrapped it. Barely they get out of the tortilla. It's so cute. An Amarillo family called the Wild West Wildlife Rehabilitation Center for help on Saturday after they found what they thought was a baby barn owl lying on the ground. They were worried because the little bird felt cold. The quick-thinking mom threw a tortilla on the grill to heat it up and then wrapped the bird inside to keep it safe and warm until help arrived. Such a great idea. It's actually a really good idea.
That's a great idea.
The Wildlife Center sent someone to the family's home and they gave the baby birds still wrapped in the tortilla. Undoubtedly, it was an inventive method to keep the baby warm, and surprisingly, it was effective, said the Wildlife Center on a Facebook post. Wildlife rescue is always filled with lively and unexpected moments. The bird turned out to be a Mississippi kite hatchling. They're described by Audubon as graceful birds of prey that eat large flying insects.
Yay!
Anybody
eats
who
large
eats
flying
large,
insects
yeah,
are okay with me.
Ditto.
They're on my good list.
Yes, sir. I wish we had more bats in our neighborhood. I'll be honest. The bird, we checked the rescued bird's progress on Monday, and the Wildlife Center said it's doing well. They've named it Taquito. Cute. Taquito. Only in Texas and maybe Mexico. This evening we were contacted about a possible orphaned barn owl, Rever Christie. The Wildlife Centers also came for dozens of birds injured and orphaned after a hurricane barrel hit the Houston area a week ago. The Houston SPCA's Wildlife Center of Texas reached out to Wild West for help because they're overwhelmed with over 1,600 animals injured in the hurricane. All right, so prayers for all of the hurricane critters.
And for Taquito.
And Taquito, who sounds like he's doing great.
Wonderful.
All right, your turn, Jimmy.
My time.
Your turn.
To wrap up this lovely session of Weird and Wonderful. This one was sent by Frankie.
Yes.
A worker for a New Jersey recycling program climbed into the back of the truck to rescue a kitten that wound up in his waste compactor.
Aww.
Burlington County Regional Recycling Program employee Mark Mata said he was checking on his truck when he discovered an oil-covered kitten trapped in the waste compactor.
Thank God he noticed it before he did the crushing thing.
I shut everything off and climbed in the back of the truck to get her, Mata told the Asbury Park Press. The kitten was taken to the Rise Again Animal Rescue and is now being fostered by Samantha Stamil, who also works for the recycling program. Mata was recently reunited with a kitten now named Squishy.
Squishy! Yay,
So,
Squishy!
Taquito and Squishy. All right. make a cartoon. Squishy has been doing well after her adventures and came back to the office today to officially meet her savior, the rescue group said in an Instagram post. We don't know how Squishy ended up in the recycling bin, but we are so glad she's safe. Mata said he was just happy to help. Just doing my part for the cats, he said. Just want her to get a good home. She deserves it.
Here's pictures of Squishy, and she looks so much like Frankie, only gray. It's
Indeed.
like you're looking at Frankie, only gray. Adorable. So congratulations, Squishy. I'm so glad you have a home and that you were rescued. And you are absolutely adorable. And if you hear any crazy sounds, that would be
that's Frankie.
That would be
He's
Frankie.
very, very excited to be
He's
mentioned
very
in the
frankly,
show.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it does look like a gray Frankie.
It really does.
Wow.
Looks like a gray Frankie. Looks like a itty bitty baby Barnesy. We talked about the Junior Barnes. But yeah, that looks, if you were to make all of the gray orange, that would be Frankie.
Yep.
Oh, look at him. He's so cute.
Same face structure and everything.
Yep. Yep. Oh,
Well,
Squishy.
folks.
We're so happy that you made it.
Yeah. All right. Well.
News of the Weird and Wonderful.
Yeah.
Let's head into news of the not so wonderful. Now, see, that's why we can't have nice things. Welcome to News of the Wicked.
And now we're about to bring up several stories that prove we can't have nice things.
Weird.
Yeah.
This one is
This one's hot, baby, hot.
hot, baby, hot. Yeah. Food authorities in Denmark have recalled 3 types of spicy instant noodle products imported from South Korea over possible risk of acute poisoning. They've been asked to discard them or return the noodles to the retailer. Turns out they're too hot. The noodles are made by Seoul-based Samyang Foods, one of South Korea's largest companies, and sold across the globe. Mm-hmm. The recalled noodles include, they list them all, I don't care, the Danish variety and veterinary. Why did I say variety? The Danish veterinary and food. You can get it all out now.
Good. I'm glad I'm not the only one doing that today.
I'm telling you. Said products contain an overly high dose of capsaicin, an active, whatever you said, capsaicin. Mm-hmm. I've always said capsaicin. I guess I'm silly. An active ingredient in chili peppers, but also a chemical that can be a neurotoxin and a health hazard. I know because I have accidentally snorted it once. It is unpleasant.
Very.
Children and teenagers in Denmark have been daring each other on social media to eat a strong bowl of noodle soup, referring to the 3 South Korean products. So, of course, another TikTok challenge is...
Why? I mean, if somebody challenged me to do that, I'm like, how much are you going to pay me to do this? Well, what's in it for me other than a lot of spicy spice?
Losing more of your hair by
yeah,
having
exactly.
your head catch on fire. The noodle dishes marketed as extremely strong must no longer be sold because consumers, and especially children, risk acute poisoning. The capsaicin content is so high that it can pose a health hazard. I thought that was like ghost peppers. Aren't they supposed to be like so bad that...
Yeah, I mean, you want to limit the amount. I mean, we have some ghost pepper Tabasco, and I use it, but it's like 2 drops in a bowl.
Yeah,
2 drops in a bowl of something.
It's
that's
yummy,
about all
though.
you can do, but it is good.
Children and frail adults and the elderly are at risk.
So 95% of the people. Never mind.
Basically, we're talking, Danes. Possible symptoms include burning and discomfort, nausea, vomiting, and high blood pressure. And this is why we're now demanding shops to remove the products from the shelves. So they actually managed to create a noodle so spicy that Danes can't eat it. Samyang, I wonder if we can get it here.
Yeah.
Now I kind of want to try it.
Samyang is they sell the product.
Yeah, I see them all the time, but
do
they sell this particular product?
I don't know.
I think CounterCultureWISE should challenge themselves to try this particular product.
I'll watch.
You'll watch. Tell me out.
I'll be there with a bottle of water and a jar of milk and some peanut butter.
I was going to say milk is water usually makes it worse. Samyang Foods said they understood the recall came because of the spiciness of the noodles and not because of the product quality.
That's important.
They wanted to make a statement because that is important. I agree. Spicy food challenges have been around for years, from local chili pepper eating contests to restaurant walls of fame for those who finished extra hot dishes. People around the world have been daring each other to eat, especially fiery foods. In September, now they talk about another one. Oh my!
Yeah, I think we
the spicy tortilla chip challenge.
Yeah,
that's a whole different thing.
Yeah,
1 chip challenge, and they literally sell it 1 chip.
Yeah,
and kids have actually died. We've talked about that one before. So more spicy food off the market. Bye bye. Yep. You're up.
Great. This is not in Europe.
This is not a smart person.
Police in the Poconos say a man stole a handgun.
I like the Poconos. That's what I do to my kitty every morning. I Poconos. Sorry.
Police in the Poconos say a man stole a handgun from a shooting range Thursday. I'm just going to read it and then I'll comment. I'm just going to read it and then comment. Police were sent to Pocono Pistol in Stroudsburg around 12:30 p.m. Thursday for a report of the theft of a firearm, according to a news release from the Stroud Area Regional Police Department. Police say a man came into Pocono Pistol and rented a 9mm Glock handgun.
Now, why would he be in the Poconos, but the name of the store is Pocono?
Did I say Pocono?
You so did.
I'm sorry. Packing a pistol.
You make fun of my capsaicin, I can make fun of your Pocono.
Okay. Whatever. Rented a 9mm Glock handgun. When the man finished using the indoor shooting range, he avoided employees and left the store with a firearm, according to police. The man then ran away toward the area of North 2nd Street, according to the news release. officers were able to identify the man, 34-year-old Lawrence J. Handlovic, via video CCTV and his Pennsylvania-issued identification card that he left behind with him.
That was my first question, because you leave your ID
that's where
with them.
I can't wait anymore. Leave your ID card with them and then take the gun. Yeah, real smart there, boo.
Yeah, and it was his real ID too. That's the thing. I mean, I could understand if he gave him a fake ID.
Fake ID, sure.
But
Police say Handlovic's ID indicates he's from Pottstown. Police say Handlovic no longer lives in Pottersville and may be staying somewhere in the Nazareth area. Love hurts!
This guy
Handlovic
hurts.
also has an active arrest warrant out of Easton Police Department, according to police.
Surprise, surprise,
so
surprise!
They didn't check his... never mind. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of Handlovic or the Glock is asked to call the Monroe County...
They caught the guy?
Well, they probably have by now. This is an older
with it?
article. This article is from several days ago, so they probably did get it.
I've got to find out about Lawrence
Handlovic.
Lawrence
Handlovich or Handlovic. Call him 911 or submit a tip through Crime Watch. Tipsters can remain anonymous or leave contact information for the investigating officer.
He's still wanted. They're still searching.
The public is warned not to approach Handlovic as he's considered armed and dangerous. YATHINK.com.
Wow.
Due to the stolen firearm, according to the news release.
He got away with it. They can't find him.
You know, after I think 30 days, there's like some statute of limitations, and he deserves to keep the gun.
Yeah, finders keepers, man.
That's just stupid.
Finders keepers.
At least he has good taste in guns. That's what I have.
There's that, yeah, but still,
Glock
he left his
9mm.
ID behind. What a moron. Although, obviously, they're so...
Not that moronic.
Yeah, obviously, they're so inept they can't find him, so...
They must have the Uvalde police
well,
on
maybe,
the...
There you go. They must have the Secret Service that Trump had. All right. I had to read this one all the way through, because at first I was like, what? But no, they've got a point. So in a recent ruling, 3-judge panel of federal appeals court determined that foreign students who were duped into enrolling at a fake college in Michigan set up by federal agents with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and otherwise known as ICE, have the right to sue the U.S. government. Now, when I first read that, I was like, no, they're here illegally. Screw them. They don't have the right. But the thought plickens. ICE... or something like that. ICE officials established the fictitious University of Farmington in 2015 as an undercover operation to target students suspected of illegally extending their visas. The university had a fabricated office, website, and admission process that closely resembled a legitimate institution. Hundreds of students, primarily from India, and legally residing in the country, enrolled in what they believed was the University of Farmington, hoping to pursue studies in technology and science, because that's what Indian science studied here. However, in 2020, the government arrested and deported nearly 250 of these students. Okay, well, those must not have been legal. Despite being legally present on F1 student visas, these students were scammed out of more than $11,000 in tuition fees. One student, Teja Ravi, paid $12,500 to the fake university after contacting it in the fall of 2018. I wonder if it was Trump University. He neither attended any classes nor completed assignments. Can you imagine $12,000? And it's not a real college, and they don't give you your money back. Unbelievable. The decision states the student was aware that the university was not a university at all.
Was unaware.
Unaware, my bad. But had been formed and advertised to offer educational services for money, though not actually provide them, as an undercover operation of the United States Department of Homeland Security to target fraud involving student visas. The government's operation eventually came to light, but the government neither provided the paid-for education nor gave Mr. Ravi his money back. WTF, government!
Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, son.
Lawyers representing the students argued that they were falsely led to believe the school was legitimate. Well, that was the point. The ICE website even listed the University of Farmington among schools approved by the U.S. government for foreign students. Approximately 600 students lost their visas, and some were held in immigration detention centers, according to lawyers. Despite the court ruling, the Department of Homeland Security has yet to respond to the court's decision. Why did they lose their visas?
I don't know.
What did they do wrong? They went to a college legally. We want the legal ones, dum-dums. We want the legal ones. Jeez Louise. Okay, this next story, I'm gonna be honest. This next story, I did some extra research on the side because for the life of me, I cannot figure out
this is
what
just
the living Christ
oddball.
happened here. So before we talk about why it's a story now, we need to go back to when it actually happened. And I'm still trying to figure out what they're talking about. So long story short, a daughter calls 911 because her mom is ill.
Right.
And literally dying.
Like dying.
Jaundiced and bleeding and everything. And the dispatcher, let me just read this. I don't understand what happened here. Okay. So they actually brought criminal charges against the dispatcher for refusing to send an ambulance. And experts are saying this is one of the rarest cases they've ever heard. They've never seen anything like this before. So the dispatcher, 50-year-old Leon Price, was charged with involuntary manslaughter in Greene County, Pennsylvania. Price refused to send an ambulance in July 2020 when Kelly Tichnell called 911 on behalf of her mother, very young woman, 56-year-old Diana Kronk, who Tichnell said was jaundiced, incoherent, and bleeding from the rectum. Dude, seriously, send an ambulance. So I listened to the 911 call, and I don't understand what was happening. I feel like I'm missing something. So Price repeatedly asked Tichnell whether Kronk was willing to go to the hospital. Experts told Insider that an ambulance should have been sent regardless. And since when is the patient willing to go? I don't care. Get an ambulance out here. There's never a time not to send an ambulance because you don't know what's going on.
Exactly.
A caller may be told that there's a wait if it's a more urgent case. We always send an ambulance one way or the other. It's up to them to triage the patient, determine what resources they need, and one of the things that they're supposed to do is try to talk them into going if they need to go. Based off of reports on the dispatcher in Kronk's case, McDonald told Insider it seemed he was just hell-bent on, hey, if you're not going to go, I'm not sending anybody. Well, what if the EMT could have saved her regardless of going to the hospital?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand the logic here. But there's no way of knowing if she was going to go because she was talking through her daughter. The daughter could say, yeah, she doesn't want to go. That doesn't mean the paramedics can't show up, do some assessment, and say, ma'am, listen, this is what's going on. You really need to go. A lot of our job is communication with the patient. Hello? In addition to involuntary manslaughter, Price was charged with reckless endangerment, official oppression, and obstructing the administration of law, Greene told County District Attorney David Russo, told the Insider, NARF. In addition to involuntary manslaughter, Price was charged with reckless endangerment, official oppression, and obstructing the administration of law. So Bar Warfield, where did I see Bar? I don't even know where I got that. Paul Werfeld, director of Stony Brook University EMT and paramedic program, said the case seemed rare, but that we are only hearing one side of this case. That's kind of where I'm at. It's like, why? Why would he keep saying that? Let's see. Nobody can say it would have been different because the woman died. Nobody can say if it would have been different, but I would say, in my opinion, it's more likely than not. If she would have had the care, it would have been different. So, update, which I'm not understanding.
What is that?
All the criminal charges have been dropped against this guy who refused to send help to this dying woman. A week before the trial, Greene County District Attorney Brianna Veneta dropped the criminal charges against then 911 dispatcher Leon. It sounds like he lost his job.
No.
No? It says then 911 dispatcher. Okay, he didn't?
He's
In the
still
death
employed.
of Deanna Kronk. The charges were filed by Dave Russo, the former district attorney in the country. God bless America, I can't read again. Kronk's daughter, Kelly Tichenor, said Venata told her she did not feel she had enough evidence to win at trial. They have the
How much
911 call.
evidence do you need?
They have the
sake?
911 call where the guy kept saying over and over again, will she go, will she go? And it's like, I don't care if she goes or not. Send an ambulance. You send a freaking ambulance. I feel definitely angry, Tichenor said. He had one job to do, and that was to call an ambulance. So they go back over this. In July 2020, Tichenor called Greene County 911 to help her mother. Tichenor pleaded with Price as her mother was unresponsive and turning yellow. Price said he would send an ambulance, but then he repeatedly told Tichenor that they needed her mother's consent, even though she could not speak. So now anybody who drowns or gets shot or faints or has a heart attack and they can't respond, you're just not going to send an ambulance? Is this a thing?
It is in Pennsylvania, apparently.
No ambulance was ever sent. Her mother died from internal bleeding the next day. I still don't understand why they didn't try to get her there themselves. Russo filed charges against Price and 3 Greene County emergency officials. The judge dismissed charges against Leathers, Police, and Roads last year, so nobody is held accountable for this at all. The judge also dismissed the lesser charges against Price, but allowed involuntary manslaughter and reckless endangerment charges to proceed to court. Veneta did not return any calls, of course not, but they did issue a statement. Though we understand that the Commonwealth withdrew the charges against Mr. Price, we were confident that he would have been acquitted by a jury of his peers. No, he wouldn't.
Not if I were one of the peers.
No, he wouldn't. They're not telling us something.
Yeah, there's something they're hiding.
Something they're hiding. We appreciate District Attorney Veneta reviewing the file and recognizing that Mr. Price's alleged actions did not necessitate criminal charges. What? In fact, the chief investigator at the time had prepared a memorandum indicating that he did not believe the actions or inactions of Leon Price rose to the levels necessary to facilitate a criminal charge. He refused medical services to a dying woman. How does that necessitate?
Glad you're reading it, not me.
Further, the memo indicated that Mr. Sams would be recommending that the district attorney should close the case without prosecution. What the living...
Blankety blank, blank, blank.
I don't understand this at all.
Me neither.
Mr. Price continues to maintain his innocence. Dude, you're on tape! We heard the call! I listened to the call! You kept saying, oh, is she gonna go? Is she gonna go? Who cares? You send a paramedic regardless.
Unless
this, that's what I'm thinking. This woman must have a history of being belligerent, or there's something we don't know.
Yeah, there's gotta be.
And they're not saying, and I couldn't find anything on the internet. We hope that this resolution enables Mr. Price to restore his reputation. His reputation of being a jerk who won't send medical help to a dying woman? No, I hope he dies with that reputation. I hope they write it on his tombstone. Sorry, but what the... Tichenor disagrees. It's been nearly 4 years since she lost her mom, and she lives in agony every day. You're going to have to live with this the rest of your life. My mother would be alive if you would have sent an ambulance to that house.
There you go.
You have destroyed my life, she added.
There it is.
Every day I suffer without my mom, and I hope you don't ever forget that. And she gets nothing? Nothing. Not even a sorry. Not even a sorry.
Not even a gift card from Lowe's. No, nothing.
Price is still employed by Greene County.
That's what I said. He's still employed.
While the criminal cases are over, Price, Police, Leathers, and the county will still face a civil lawsuit from the Kronk family in federal court.
Good.
Tichenor said that Veneta tried to get the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office involved and then told her about a plea deal, but now all the charges have been dropped. I want to know why. Because this looks like an open and shut case to me.
It does.
I'm blown away by this. I don't even know what to say. They're not telling us something. We're missing something. And because I actually listened to the 911 call, and he just kept saying, "No, they cut it up." So I don't know what happened before, and they're hiding something. There's no reason that he would have said that, and then also gotten away with saying that. That's what I'm confused about. I mean, it's one thing if he's just a jerk and he doesn't like them. I mean, we can't call racism because they're all white, but there's something there that they're not telling us, and I want to know what it is because I'm blown away by this. Yeah, I'll fix it next time. I'll quit whining. And there was a video. Well, it won't play because they're all mad that I won't get a subscription. But they don't look abnormal. They don't look weird. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that one. So the charges were dropped.
Well, at least the civil case is still moving forward. Hopefully they'll get something out of this. He needs to be held liable.
Yeah.
For at least to some degree, he needs to be held liable for this.
I just don't understand why it's a thing that you can refuse medical attention. Since when?
In an emergency situation, you could have no insurance and no way of paying.
Right.
If it's an emergency, they still let you in. And they'll bill you, but,
they'll bill the daylights out of you, but I believe it's a federal law that they cannot refuse service. Yeah. Even if they were illegal immigrants, right. overdosing in the street, they'd still send it.
Yeah.
I don't understand this at all.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've said all we can say about that.
Yep.
I'm going to let you speak to this one because I've never been to Disney nothing, but I think you've been to this, right?
I've been to Disney World and Disneyland, and I've seen this attraction back when I was a kid at Disneyland in Anaheim.
Okay, so I know they completely redid one of the things because it was supposedly racist.
Yeah.
It was based on Song of the South.
Well, yeah, I mean
which I thought was a fantastic
movie,
by the way.
It was a fantastic movie.
Not racist at all. It actually was very reverent.
But people, it's funny for a company as woke as they are now that never mind.
Well, I'm going to read the headline just because it's hilarious. Mm-hmm. Disney World removes a beloved character from park after 50 years over fears it could offend alcoholics.
Yeah, apparently.
I don't care.
It's just...
I don't care if alcoholics are offended. I really, truly, honestly don't care.
Here we go. Disney World has removed... I wonder if they're doing it the same at Disneyland or even if they still have it at Disneyland. Anyway, Disney World has removed a beloved character that has been a staple at the amusement park for over 50 years as the character was deemed insensitive and outdated and could offend alcoholics.
I don't care! But there's no alcohol on Disney properties anyway.
Very little, yeah.
There's like one joint that you can... And it costs a fortune, and you have to get on a waiting list.
I would not want to get a beer at Disney World. I mean, cheeseburgers, $20. It's stupid.
Oh, cheeseburgers, $20 in the 1970s. They're $50 now.
I don't know. Anyway, as long as I'm married to Melanie, I won't be going to any Disney amusement parks anymore because you go ahead and tell them. It's hell.
If I were to, kill off 1 billion Jews and get...
that was a bad example. Maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Directly, well, I'm talking directly to hell. Do not pass go. Do not collect. That. I mean, that's a pretty straightforward thing, right? Okay, so even if I were to kill one person, let's see, but and I meet St. Peter or the other guy. Who's the guy at the other gate? Good old Satan, the big guy with the horns,
the big guy with the horns and the tail and the
tail and the pitchfork and the whole
pitchfork and stuff. I'm sure he looks nothing like.
And he wanted to torture. I'm sure he doesn't. I'm sure he looks like anybody else because I'm sure we've seen him on many occasions and didn't know it.
Yeah.
And and he were to send me to the place where I would be tortured forever. Well, he'd send me to the place of all the things that I hate the most, like waiting in lines and other people screaming children.
And high food prices.
Yeah. So I've never been to Disney anything, even as a kid, because we never did vacations when I was a kid because we were broke.
Yeah.
I
was
can't
lucky.
imagine wanting to go to Disneyland.
No,
I have a friend who goes several times a year.
It still has a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
I love Disneyland. But anyways, Liver Lips McGrowl.
That's a hilarious name.
It's a great name. One of the 18 animatronic bears of the Country Bear Jamboree at Magic Kingdom will not be making his grand return alongside the other robotic mammals when the attraction reopens on Wednesday after a 7-month hiatus. McGrowl, whose name is considered derogatory and offensive, not McGrowl but the liver lips part, is associated with alcohol abuse and the resulting damage it does to the liver, Disney blog Inside the Magic said. The term is also seen as derogatory and offensive stereotype used against black Americans to describe the shape of their lips as sickly or unhealthy, according to thestreet.com, which is not, so far as I know, related in any way to woke Disney Corporation. Instead, McGrowl will be placed by Romeo McGrowl, a bear with the same last name and a similar facial appearance as Liver Lips, but with a James Dean-esque
They just
coif.
slapped a wig on him. It's the exact same
they
bear.
Thank you very much wig on him.
There he is right there. They just slapped a blonde wig on him. Did they even change his tie? No, they didn't even change his tie. They didn't. Yeah, they didn't. They took off his pants though. Leave it to Disney to remove the pants as part of their. Yeah, it's the exact same bear. Just they made him a piano player instead of a ukulele player.
Romeo joins the furry ensemble of Harry, Big Al, Wendell, and Teddy Barra, Ernest the Dude, Terrence Shaker, and Trixie, along with the 5 bear rugs. The removal of Liver Lips McGrowl is part of a bigger trend in Disney where the park is committed to addressing and rectifying outdated or culturally insensitive elements within its attractions, the blog post said. The attraction is a knee-slapping good time, and it is a fun show. Inside the rustic theater, Grizzly Hall will reopen as the Country Bear Musical Jamboree at Magic Kingdom's Frontierland. Liver Lips was only credited for one song during his run on the show from 1971 to 2024, My Woman Ain't Pretty, But She Don't Swear None. A Reddit user recorded a video of him singing the song on January 26, 2024, the final day the attraction was open before renovations. The post said the attractions were packed with many fans there to say their goodbyes to the beloved music-oriented show. To say the shows on that day were an absolute blast would be an understatement, the caption read. The last show I sat in on was a few hours later and one of the last ever performed before it broke down. If you can imagine it, the crowd was even louder and almost drowned out the bears when it came to singing along. Besides the one character change, a brand new script and soundtrack will also be released, according to Variety. Mac McNally, a country singer-songwriter best known for his decades-long work with Jimmy Buffett, was tasked with producing and arranging the new score. McNally's voice will also be featured in countrified versions of Disney hits Bare Necessities and Fixer Upper.
For the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities.
Along with the Jungle Book and Frozen songs, the new soundtrack also contains an original song, Country Bear Musical Jamboree, and other country music renditions of classics including from The Little Mermaid, Mary Poppins, and Aladdin. The only song remaining from the original soundtrack following the revamp will be the closing number, Come Again. I only remember them doing Davy Crockett. That's the only song I remember them doing. I just remember enjoying the show. It was a squirrel or a beaver or somebody came out from under his hat who sang it, so it was pretty funny.
Hilarious.
But yeah, that was...
I'll have to watch the video because I've never... I mean, I have flashbacks
I have
flashbacks of Chuck E. Cheese, and those things were creepy. You could hear their
They made a whole horror movie series out of that.
Yeah.
Weekend at Freddy's or whatever it's called. Yeah.
All right, this last one.
I'm glad you're reading this one.
Well, I'm sure there might be a Mona snaps on this one.
It might be. Time permitting.
Okay. Vernon Reffitt got $30,000 to leave the Army in 1992. It was a one-time lump sum special separation benefit offered to service members when the U.S. had to reduce its active duty force. Why? Why did we have to reduce our active duty force? Why is that even a thing? Who was president in 1992?
Clinton. Bill Clinton.
Huh. Now, more than 30 years later, the federal government wants that money back? What? In May, the Department of Veterans Affairs began withholding the monthly disability compensation payments that Reffitt had been receiving for 3 decades until he repays the 30... What? It would take the 62-year-old another 15 years to do their what? Okay, hold on. The Veteran Affairs is withholding his disability compensation because they want money that they paid him to leave the military back.
That's exactly what the article is saying, Melanie Hope.
That's wrong. That's a nice way of putting it. You can't just up and take it back, especially after all these years. Thousands have found themselves in Refit's position due to a little-known law that prohibits veterans from receiving both disability and special separation pay.
Very little known. Nobody knew about it until now.
Under the law, the VA has to recoup special separation benefits from veterans before those eligible can begin receiving disability benefits. No, we need to fix this.
Yes.
No. The law has forced at least 79,000 veterans to repay different types of separation benefits between 2013 and 2020, according to a study published in 2022 by the Rand Corporation. I'm so mad I can't even read. The actual number of affected veterans is likely much higher because researchers were not able to access data prior to 2013 due to VA system changes. Why are we just now hearing about this? In 2023 alone, the VA said it had to recoup separation pay from nearly 9,300 veterans. I'm so angry I'm literally shaking right now. I think it's likely that we're missing a good number of people. We don't have a way of knowing how big it is. In Refit's case,
in other words,
VA,
they're not keeping track until it's a ramshackle arrangement. So
in Refit's case, the VA erroneously allowed him to receive both benefits without penalty for more than 30 years. But if it's after the fact, they gave him money to leave. Why wouldn't he still be eligible for veterans benefits? I don't understand. Did he have to denounce himself and I don't
idea.
get it.
Don't know.
In a statement, the agency said it was unaware of the amount of Refit's special separation benefit when he began receiving disability compensation. And why would he even know that's a thing? Why would he know that? The VA said it should have followed up on attempts to determine the separation amount and initiated a recoupment earlier. It said it caught the error recently when Refit thought, why don't they just decrease the amount of benefits? How the hell is he going to come up with that kind of money?
And he's old. What's he going to do now?
Meanwhile, he's
about my age.
He loses his benefits, so he can't survive, and he also owes you back? I mean, that makes no sense at all. It said it caught the error recently when Refit filed a claim under the PACT Act, a law enacted in 2022 that expanded benefits to millions of veterans exposed to toxic substances, and he should be getting those benefits.
And I should probably apply. Because I was.
Okay, well,
all right then.
Chop chop.
Chop chop.
Certain types of separation payments were offered to active duty service members in an effort to reduce manpower in certain career fields. The special separation benefits that Refit received was primarily offered during the 1990s. When veterans apply for disability compensation, the VA said the form they use states that separation pay may be recouped from VA benefits. Why? But it's too late by then, said Refit. And two other veterans who spoke to NBC News, the veterans said they were not aware of the law that prohibits both benefits when they took the payout. And they probably didn't bother to tell them, because that is how our government treats their veterans. As much as I love this country, I freaking hate the government. Army veteran Daphne Young said she would not have taken the separation pay had she known. Durr. Young, 36, who lives... Oh, she's just a baby. She lives up to her name. Who lives in Columbus, Georgia, said she did not particularly need the extra money when she left the military in 2016. She said the $15,000 lump sum allowed her to take a break from working and volunteer with the Red Cross for 8 months. The shock came in April when the VA notified Young that it would begin withholding her monthly untaxed disability payment of about $3,700 until she recoups her separation pay. Wait, disability of $3,700? That's more than you and I make working full time.
Thanks for explaining that to our audience, because
Well, it's because you guys need to go to CounterCultureWISE.com and start sending us money so we can afford.
Send us money.
Jeez. Young, who is now fully disabled and does not work, crumpled at the thought of losing her only income, which she has been receiving for years. Yeah, how is she supposed to live? How is she supposed to survive? It was agonizing, said Young, a former Army ammunition specialist and combat medic who was deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan.
A hero and stuff
Yeah,
over
like a
there
hero
like
and
that.
stuff.
That's all.
Advocates say the law not only blindsides veterans, but it robs them of earned benefits that should not be linked financially. While special separation pay is based on a service member's military career, disability pay solely relates to illness or injury sustained during service. According to Marquis Bearfield, an assistant national legislative director with DAV, okay, good lord, it's like 6 paragraphs long just telling us who he is. The two payments have nothing to do with each other. They are two separate buckets of money. Right. Veterans have an average of $19,700 to $53,000 withheld for recoupment. The RAND study found the recoupment amounts are the lump sum received after tax, and they had to pay taxes on it too. Have we lost our ever-loving minds as a nation? Have we completely bloody lost our minds?
Indeed.
Shane Collins said it took him about 36 months to repay the roughly $33,000 separation benefit he received in 2014 when he left the Marines and when his son was born. It took the legs from right underneath me, he said. If something like that happened to us,
It'd be over. It'd be just,
we'd have nothing. We'd have nothing. Collins, 41 of Twin Falls, Idaho, said she worked at the Pentagon in 2012, focusing on personnel administration, including paperwork and pay. He said he was so familiar with the Defense Department's manual that he called it his Bible. Still, he said he did not know that he would have to repay a separation benefit if he was granted disability. Those two have nothing to do with each other and shouldn't. I thought they were completely separate. They are. And that's how it was explained to me as well, he said. Of course they misinformed him. Why would we ever ask our veterans to pay back anything? Ever. Ever. And they were injured because of their veteran status.
Yep. We'll read just a couple more paragraphs and then...
In 2022, Representative Ruben Gallego of Arizona introduced a bill that would change the recoupment law. The VA said it does not comment on pending legislation. You can stick it. While the RAND study published that year was required by Congress following concerns for veterans, the legislative progress has been slow. It is costly, and it's kind of been the biggest hindrance of why I can't get it through.
That was Gallego speaking. Unbelievable.
It's diabolical. Under the law, veterans have a chance to pursue a waiver of their recoupment responsibilities for voluntary separation pay, but the standards are high. To get a waiver, the VA said the Secretary of an applicable branch of service must determine that recovery would be against equity and good conscience, or would be contrary to the best interests of the United States. Well, that's 100% of the cases, Bubby!
I'm glad you're reading this.
Young did not receive a waiver, but with the help of the DAV advocacy group, she was able to reduce the monthly amount withheld, although that means it will take her longer to repay the VA. There has to be a better way. Yeah, don't. Refit, who was deployed to Panama and Honduras and did 2 tours in Germany during his service as a military policeman from 1979 to 1992, is still working out a plan. In the meantime, Refit, who also supports his wife, has tightened his budget by reducing the number of medical... He's reduced the number of medical appointments he used to have regularly scheduled to manage his mental health, knee injury, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. The man has heart issues.
He could die.
And he's canceling his medical treatment because our cocked up government is extorting our veterans.
She's more upset about it than I am, folks.
This is not okay.
No, it's not okay.
We need... As much as I want to rescue every animal out there, this has become my new life's mission. I'm going to get this under Trump's nose, and I'm going to get this reversed. I'm going to work on this, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any ideas, send them to Melanie at CounterCultureWISE.com, because I'm taking the baton on this. This is insane. This is insane. How is this even a thing? This ends. This has to end, and it needs to be retroactive for these poor people who have lost their medical care after they served this country and they got sick or injured doing it. How dare our government do this to our veterans? How dare people think it's okay? And why isn't this being shouted from the mountaintops and stopped? Why is this the first time
I
I've
happened to
heard
bumble
of
onto
this?
this article. I didn't know either. I would have thought, I just would have assumed all this time that they were two separate buckets of money.
I mean, they literally boot them out and pay them to leave and then turn around and want it back? No! This ends! We're ending this! Sorry, I got a little miffed.
That's okay.
Actually
It's time for you to
Actually
not...
scared the cat.
It's time for you to
I'm gonna go take a drink of wine and maybe calm down a little bit.
maybe.
Here on CounterCultureWISE, we may rant, we may rave, but most of all, we go against the current culture because we believe, to the core of our beings, that humans are good and the world is an amazing and beautiful place. At the beginning of our show, we give you news of the weird and wonderful, but that is just the tip of the magnificent iceberg that is our world. We now present news of the wonderfuller. Well, we literally lived right down the road from this, so this will be an interesting story.
Indeed.
Let's end on a high note, shall we? In a remarkable display of courage and quick thinking, 3 11-year-old girls stopped the potential kidnapping of their 6-year-old neighbor.
Rock and
The
roll.
heroic actions of these young girls have garnered praise from the Kent Police Department and the local community. The incident occurred on East Hill apartment complex around 8:18 p.m. The police department reported an ice cream truck had attracted numerous children to the area when the 3 preteens noticed an adult man gripping the wrist of their young neighbor. Yee. The 6-year-old's brother called for her, but she was unable to break free. The girls observed her fear and heard her pleading with the man to let her go, prompting them to follow and intervene. How brave. They could have just run away in fear. Multiple Kent Patrol officers were dispatched.
No, you have to.
I skipped a whole paragraph.
You skipped a very important paragraph.
Without hesitation, the girls began recording the situation on their phones and confronting the man, questioning his relationship with the child. Despite the man's attempts to deceive them, the young girl shook her head, signaling that he was lying. As the confrontation escalated, the man put the child down and attempted to flee. The girls quickly took the child back to her apartment, ensuring her safety. I hope that somebody got a picture of the license plate. Multiple Kent Patrol officers were dispatched to the scene following a 911 call from a witness who provided an excellent description of the suspect.
He's a scuzzball.
Officers J. Robinson and Corner arrived promptly and apprehended the man. Meanwhile, Officer A. Davis gathered details from witnesses, uncovering the full extent of the girls' bravery. Thanks to the girls' intervention, the 6-year-old is now safe at home with her family. We need more kids like this.
Indeed.
The Kent Police Department expressed their admiration for the young heroes in a public statement. We want to start this post by acknowledging the selfless bravery 3 11-year-old girls, 11 years old, and wow.
Amazing.
Somebody's mama needs to be hugged. The department wrote, they saw their friend and neighbor being taken by a stranger and stepped in without pause to bring her to safety. We are so proud of you. You are amazing. The girls should be given awards publicly for their bravery, a community member commented. This brought tears to my eyes. I'm so incredibly proud of these girls, and they truly need rewards. Well, congratulations, ladies. I hope that you continue to be brave soldiers, and I'm saddened that we live in a world where it's necessary, but thank God you were there.
Absolutely.
And folks, thank God you are here. I hope
We
you
love
enjoyed
you.
tonight's podcast with hardly any swear words.
Not too
Wasn't
many.
easy.
Not too many.
And no matter what may happen out there in the greater world, we pray that God will protect our leaders, all of them, that God will protect our nation, and that God will protect you as well. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
CounterCultureWISE is a Stormcat production.
Thank thank you for joining our growing family of listeners. All links from the show are available on our website, CounterCultureWISE.com. Find our archives on any of your favorite podcast hosts.
We engage in satire, commentary, and generally laugh at the ridiculousness of our crumbling society. Our only medical or financial advice is to not follow any financial or medical advice given by podcasters.
Our animations, interviews, Holy Crap segment, and other videos are put out on Bitchute and Rumble, and only in part on YouTube because they hate free speech.
Our show is entirely funded by listeners like you. Visit our ever-expanding merch store or our Subscribe Star, where you can get outtakes, extra videos, and sneak peeks.
If you would like to be a guest on our program, feel free to contact us via our website. Just click on the link at the top that says, Be a Guest on Our Show.
For more fun and cat pics, please visit our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. For complaints about our show, please fill out the ID10T form on our website, and we will give it the attention it deserves.
Meanwhile, no matter how cruel the world may be around you, always remember the importance of kindness. Be kind to each other, be kind to animals, and be kind to yourself. See you next week.